What's good, everybody? I'm BPC and welcome to Competitive Origins MMA. Now, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the bell so you can be notified on future episodes. Now, today's topic is on what's Anderson Silva's next move. Now, before I get into that, I want to point out that I'm wearing a Just an Obstacle Competitive Origins t-shirt. You can go to competitiveorigins.com to purchase this shirt, and a portion of the proceeds will go towards the channel to make it a better experience for you guys out there. Now, if you type in promo code MMA3, you'll be entitled to 10% off the order. Remember, life is a competition. We've been competing since conception, whether you're competing against yourself or somebody else. So support the movement, Competitive Origins. Now, Anderson Silva, leading up to his October 31st match with Uriah Hall, made the announcement. Well, he didn't actually make the announcement. Dana White made the announcement that they had a deal. And the deal was that after this, Anderson Silva was done. No more fights. This would be Anderson Silva's last fight. And I kind of thought about it and I go, well, last time I remember, Anderson had 2 more fights on his contract. So why would this be his last fight? And Dana said they had a deal. This is how it's going to be. Now, when you really think about it, you wonder, okay, does Dana not want to pay the money for Anderson anymore? You know, Anderson makes, well over $700,000, per fight. I think it's closer to $800,000. I'm not quite sure off the top, but he does pull in a pretty penny. Now, is it that Dana's trying to save money? I'm not sure if it's really that, that precise that he's trying to save money. Him and Anderson have known each other for a long time, so could it be that he just wants to preserve Anderson's health? Anderson's getting up there in age. He's about 45 years old, and ever since he snapped his leg, he's taken a lot of abuse over the next couple fights. You typically don't see Anderson bleeding out of the face or his face swollen up. In one fight, you see him, bam, like that against Izzy. He took a nasty leg kick from Jared Cannonier, and that injured him. Now, rumors are is that he went into the fight with an injured leg, and he shouldn't have done that. He kind of alluded to that when in the post interview. But regardless, he then went and fought Uriah Hall, and he actually had a really good fight against Uriah Hall. He won the first round, he won the second round, and he was winning the third round until he got caught. He got caught, got dropped, and he held on to make it out of the round. In the fourth round, they started up again, and Anderson looked to be in charge, in control again, and he finally got caught, and, after so many shots, the referee just had to stop the fight. It's getting to that point where you're kind of wondering, all right, is it time for Anderson to hang it up? Is Dana worried about, hey, if Anderson keeps taking too many headshots, that he could end up with CTE? Now, CTE isn't really talked about much in the world of MMA, and if this comes out, bam, years later, and it's like, oh, this fighter has CTE, this fighter has CTE, then you have this massive lawsuit on their hands, right? Because, in the NFL, CTE wasn't talked about for the longest, and then they tried to push it in the back burner, and then finally got exploded, and now you have all these lawsuits. Well, MMA is not as old as the NFL. So it's going to take a while before they get to the point where they can actually see whether these people are developing CTE from these. And I think it's kind of obvious that they would. They're taking so many headshots. They're getting punched in the head. They're getting kicked in the head. They're just getting dropped on their head. There's so many different things that are revolving around them taking blows to the head. So that could be another reason, So there's multiple reasons as to why Dana's come up with this decision. Now, Anderson, ended up losing the fight, as I said, and he kind of said he wanted to take some time to reflect and think about his next decision on what he wanted to do following the fight. Now, to me, that makes me think that Anderson was not ready to retire, because if he was ready to retire, he would have, said, hey, guys, I'm done. I appreciate it. Many fighters have put their gloves down in the ring. They have stated they're done with it. They have no more meaning to compete. There's no reason for them to continue to compete. They've done it. That was their last fight. That's all they have. Well, Anderson has still this fighting spirit burning inside of him. At least that was his response following getting cut from the UFC. See, last week the UFC followed through on their word and actually cut Anderson Silva. And word got out, and Dana White eventually confirmed that Anderson was no longer with the UFC. Now, Dana was worried about, hey, there's going to be organizations that are going to probably try to sign Anderson. Well, the president of Bellator basically said, hey, we love what Anderson's done. I'm paraphrasing, Anderson's the man, but we are moving in a different direction. Now, Bellator has been known to sign aging UFC veterans, bring them over, put on fights. We have Chael Sonnen, we have Tito Ortiz, and there's a whole bunch of fighters that have done that, right? But we're in a situation now where even Scott Coker doesn't want to touch Anderson Silva. So then that leads me, well, what's Anderson's next move? Because Anderson has come out and said, after enjoying my vacation, I did not lose this fight due to age. I lost it because, basically he says that he messed up. It was a technical error and he got caught, and that's why he got laid out. Now, looking from the fight, Anderson did look good. All right. Anderson was on his P's and Q's. He looked in shape. He looked like he was having a very good fight. Now, did this look like Anderson the Spider Silva? Absolutely not. You see little hints in there, but it was not the Anderson that, that dominated the entire UFC. And that's what really bothers me, is that these fighters are getting wins over the name Anderson Silva, not the actual fighter Anderson Silva. So now we're in a situation, where does Anderson go from here? He's not going to go back to the UFC. He's not going to Bellator. So there are only other places that he can go to. Some have said maybe he goes to Rizin. Well, Rizin, I believe, only has a light heavyweight division. They don't have middleweight. Now, Anderson has been very good at light heavyweight, but at his older age, does he really need to take these, these blows from these heavier guys? When he fought Daniel Cormier in his last fight, at light heavyweight, he, yes, he did do it on short notice, but he didn't even weigh in at 205, the limit. I believe, or I think it's 206 is the limit if you're not fighting for a title. But, I think Anderson weighed in around 198 pounds, right? So Anderson isn't naturally a heavy guy, for his division. At middleweight, which has a 185 cutoff, he doesn't have to cut that much weight. So now we're in a situation, does he go to Rizin and fight at light heavyweight? Does he do ONE FC? Now, ONE FC has a middleweight division. There's a lot of UFC fighters that have migrated from the UFC over to ONE FC. So that's an interesting choice. But I still don't like it. He's going up against these, younger fighters. And, it might not be him feeling that his age is getting to him. He's still quick. By no means is Anderson not quick. He still has power. He still has the ability to win fights. But he has a chin, and over time, that chin's going to weaken, which we've seen time and time again, Anderson has stood there and let people punch him in the face and then continued on and fought them, Now it's getting to the point where he takes a good shot in the chin and he's, being hobbled and falling and stuff like that, and I just hate seeing this. So what are the other choices? Rizin, ONE FC, could there be a senior MMA organization maybe that they could start? Maybe they have, maybe Vitor Belfort is in his 40s. Maybe he goes and fights. Right now, I believe he's signed to ONE FC, but maybe he goes and fights in this senior league. We have Anderson that can go fight in this senior league, right? Tito Ortiz, if he wants to come back, he can go fight in this senior league. Chael Sonnen says he can't just do the practices, the conditioning, as long as he did when he was younger. Maybe he steps into this, senior MMA organization. Maybe we give it a cool name, maybe Legendary MMA. Mike Tyson is about to take on Roy Jones Jr. Very soon, and they're obviously of age. Evander Holyfield's talking about coming out. Now, obviously, it's an exhibition, so in my mind, it's not as exciting, but it is a competition where we're going to see them go at it. So maybe we have these guys, these MMA guys that have gone at 40 years old and up, maybe get in the octagon or the squared circle, whatever you want to call it, right? I think UFC owns the trademark for octagon, but, have them get in there and fight at an older age where it's more even playing field, A 20-year-old is supposed to go out there and fight at a young age and win, okay? 45-year-olds are not supposed to go in there and fight 20-year-olds, 27-year-olds, 33-year-olds. It's a huge difference once they get to a higher age range. It's just plain and simple. And a lot of these fighters want to build their name off of beating these legends that are now past their prime, per se. They're still great fighters. If you were to see Anderson Silva on the streets, I guarantee you're not taking him, plain and simple. But that's just my 2 cents. Where does Anderson go? Go into the comments and tell me where you think he might end up. If you think he's actually going to change his mind and retire, if he's going to end up at Ryzen, if he's going to end up at ONE FC, if they might create some organization where they can do senior MMA fighters, you know, kind of like the senior PGA, you know, something along those lines, you know. Tell me what you think, and I'll get back to you online, you know, in the comments section. Don't forget to go to competitiveorigins.com, you know, support the movement, and like and definitely comment in this video. Comment in the video, right? But don't forget to like, all right? And don't forget to subscribe. This is BPC, Competitive Origins MMA. Take care, guys.